Hey, good morning. Are you waiting for the car too?
Yeah.
All right.
Good thing it's a roadster.
Yeah.
No roof.
Great. It's so good to see it like back in the way that Dad would want it to be.
So you remember this as a kid?
Oh, I mean, it ran up until 10 years ago when my dad passed. So,
I got some. I had her get some towels.
if you want any, yeah, I've got some others. But yeah, this is.
I've got it. I actually have two of them. They should be enough.
Okay, you don't want this to touch it.
What's that?
You don't want to touch it.
No, I prefer.
Okay.
You do not have any fibers,
I like
right?
that.
These
Right.
microfibers will. We buffed it out
It
and
looks
polished
so
it and stuff.
beautiful. I mean, just absolutely stunning. You've
Okay,
done
do you
a
have another one?
great
Can I start
job.
on the interior?
Still look great,
Alright.
Mom.
Turned out.
It
Turned out
looks
nice.
so good.
It was done really well when it was done, so that helps make it look
Easier
good
to
again.
bring
Yeah.
it back to life.
Right. You have that. Yeah, I was gonna set your battery cover back in too.
Oh, thank you.
I can put that back together since.
And what about the books?
Books, the book, I had the one manual and I got it in the trunk.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, there were more than one.
I think he only took the one.
Yeah, I just took the one
Yeah.
service manual.
Yeah, I don't think he had any of the other ones.
No, I only had that and your receipts from the last people that
That worked on it. Yeah, it looks amazing. How was it to work on it? Was it challenging? Was it
wasn't.
just like normal things that needed addressed?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. So first we did, we put a battery in it to see, put power to stuff, see where it was at, what it needed. The fuel, when we put power to it, turn the key on, fuel pump's supposed to click. And there's no fuel pump clicking, so went and looked at that, tested that. Pulled it out to look at it because with the fittings on it were kind of corroded and gross. So when we tore it apart, it was really dirty inside. It was like I think that was part of the issue before. It wasn't clean. They did the fuel tank, but didn't get the fuel pump, which it was a mini fuel tank basically. And it was all dirty and nasty, so it didn't get good flow. And then we chased it up to the carburetors. The bowls were a little dirty and they have little screen fillers in it and they were kind of plugged plugged up and stuff. So just getting the rest of the fuel system clean. And from sitting, replace a couple parts in the carbs. And then what else? Once we got it running and stuff, the temperature gauge, it would come up to 50 degrees Celsius and it would never go higher. And we kept checking like temperatures and stuff, and everything was hotter than that. And I don't know, I hate to drive it and don't know how hot it's getting while you're driving it. So that's why we replaced that gauge. And when we went to, when we did the carbs, when we went to work on that, the fuel, it's a braided fuel line. Of course, messed with it a little bit, put it back together, it was fine, and then it started leaking because we handled it, and it's just not, it sat for so long. The same thing happened on the oil, that gauge, the temperature gauge of the oil, and oil pressure and water temp gauge together, and so we had to mess with the oil line, and got it back together, started it up, and it started spraying oil. Another braided
Good
line.
idea.
Just old stuff
Because
like
you
that.
appreciate it.
Chasing the little things like that was the major thing. And then once we went to final tune it, there was the adjustment screw on the bottom of the carb. It has a cap over it. So the guy that helped me do that, he did the back one and moved to the front one because it's got two carburetors, and you had to make sure they're matching everything. And went to do it, and there was no screw in it. It was gone. So I had to find a screw because nobody makes it new. So I had to find like an old parts carburetor to get some parts from it. So just little weird odd things like that, but nothing really, nothing major.
Nothing out of the ordinary, just
No,
normal things that
no,
you
not
would
at all.
typically.
And like the enricher, which is like the choke on it, that didn't work. But instead of replacing solenoids that might fail again, we did a switch underneath your dash, which I gotta show you.
Okay.
You can turn it on and off, and it makes it a little bit. It should help it actually run better because you can control it versus letting a solenoid that's stuck in coolant all the time operate it.
Okay, what's this your Mercedes drive?
Oh,
No,
my
British-
name is Mercedes.
Oh, I was gonna say a British car's gonna
No,
get all
my name's
upset about
Mercedes.
it.
My dad liked cars.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
You know, a name like Mercedes, yeah.
It looks beautiful. So, like, what is your recommended, like, maintenance for us on it? And, like, now that it's running, like, we will, like, drive it.
Right, which
You
is
know what
good.
I mean?
It helps it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um,
Like, my dad would try to at least once a week, like, get it out,
Sure,
you know, take
yeah.
it around the peninsula.
Absolutely. I would say the biggest thing is just always check oil, because these originally they said it was normal use for oil was a gallon for every 1,200 miles.
Okay.
So it uses oil, and of course it's a British car, so it does leak a little bit of oil too.
Yes.
So just make sure you
The
check
oil.
oil is the biggest thing
Occasionally.
on it, because
The oil?
they use oil and it leaks a little bit of oil, so just make sure it's good, and then I don't know, I mean maybe every other year at the least change the oil at most. I mean
Let me
something
call
like
you
that.
and have you, you know, I just need to know, like, how often it needs maintained.
That's,
you know, that
I mean,
kind of-
honestly, that's about it. Just check the oil, make sure it's on the dipstick, and
Okay.
it's
Show me
good to
where the
go.
oil is, if you don't mind.
Excuse me. Should be. It's hidden underneath the steering column here. I left my flashlight. Excuse me. Right there.
Okay, perfect. So just pull that out and check it.
Maybe.
There we go.
Yep. Just pull it out, make sure it's in between those two notches there.
Between these two,
Yeah.
the top two notches.
Yeah, just that one and that one.
Oh, okay, perfect.
That's just a rust mark on it.
Okay.
Yep. Just make sure it's in between
Gotcha,
there,
alright.
and you're okay. I have an extra quart of oil
Okay.
for you with it, and then something that can, you might use it all if you use it all.
If it needs more, where do I put
Right
it in?
here. Nice and easy. Just
And
just
how much would we put in?
I would say so. Like if it's at the bottom, at
Sure.
that bottom line,
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna hurt to put a half to a full cord in.
Okay.
If you're at the bottom line, you could get away with,
With
the
the whole
cord,
cord?
and it's not gonna do
Okay,
anything.
perfect.
That's if you're still just above that line. Like I'd say if you're above that line, even halfway, you're still good. If you start to go below halfway in between those two
Mhm.
notches, I would maybe add like half
Half
a cord.
of it,
And if you
okay.
get to that bottom
Bottom
line,
a
add a
hole.
cord.
Okay.
And you'll be
Easy
you'll be
enough.
good. It holds quite a bit of oil.
Okay.
What else? Is this for water?
I
That's-
don't need a
yeah,
full
that's-
working understanding
that's-
of under here.
This is coolant. Your husband would have added. He added this. This is an original expansion tank to it to help
Oh.
it run cooler and stuff. But everything seems to run temperature-wise. It seems to be good.
Good, because it would always overheat before.
Yeah, and the fan. He put an electric fan on it, which kicked
Mhm.
on, and it works, and
Okay.
it shuts off, and that seems to be good.
Okay.
Coolant-wise, it really shouldn't use any coolant. That would be something like if you had to do the oil, that to check that. It's-
Okay.
No, that shouldn't.
He just
be
said like
anything.
every other year, like have him take a look at it.
What about
Okay.
gasoline?
Gasoline, I would use, and this is brake fluid, which another thing that shouldn't
Okay.
go away. Gas, I would use rec fuel.
I
So
don't know what that means.
like a lot around here would be like
Regular gas.
I believe so,
Like
especially being at the right on the
lake?
water. They,
Like other
they have it a lot.
It's like
So
boat fuel?
yeah. So
Okay.
if you ask for non-ethanol, they should have it, or rec gas for rec fuel. Like
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the BP up
Mhm.
here has on all the pumps.
I think it does too.
It has a non. It's
Ethanol.
usually like 89 or 90
Okay.
octane, and
Perfect.
And these
So
have-
what are the gases? I don't
Sure.
know. Okay.
these have hardened seats, so you don't have to worry about adding lead and stuff like that. A lot of early cars had to put lead additive in the gas too, because it helps lubricate and protect you from burning the seats and stuff. This is clear coated, so it will hold up to the gas, okay, but
Stuff.
yeah, it'll still stain it and stuff. But yeah,
Okay.
it's probably got like 12 gallons in
I
it.
wondered. Okay.
Which on the tank it reads a little bit above
Okay.
empty, but it's got quite a bit. It's got quite a big gas tank
Tank
in
in
it. But
it.
if you can, if you run rec fuel in it, if you fill it up and just kind of keep it full, it
Mhm.
helps with. Which I think it looks like this gas tank is sealed, so it shouldn't be a problem. But it's always better to either store a car, even if you're driving or anything, all the way full, or completely drained, because when there's space, the fuel draws moisture and makes things rust out and stuff.
Okay,
So.
that's good to know.
So if
The weather
you
was
can always
just
keep it.
really
I know.
looking
I was
around the
hoping we could
peninsula.
just go for a cruise. I could show you a
Yes.
couple things and stuff, but
And this
no
pulls
big
forward,
deal.
right?
Yep, it does. Leans forward and it catches on the door handle a little bit, so you gotta open.
What do you?
it if you
Oh,
pop
he's
open
gonna
the
put
door.
that. You're gonna put that
Yeah, I'm
thing
gonna.
back in.
I brought the stuff I cleaned the rest interior with. I'm gonna clean that
Okay.
piece and we can set
And
that back on
awesome.
too.
You said something about the thing under the.
Yes. So when it's cold to start, and I labeled it too, but there's now a toggle switch right here
Mm-hmm.
that so push it towards you
Okay.
to be on
And that's just during cold.
when it's
weather?
cold. When you first start
Cold
it.
meaning like it's not
Like
been
not
started,
hasn't
not
been run. There's
temperature
no,
outside.
Correct. Right. So when there's like
Cold.
no heat in the engine.
Okay.
So like when I did it right when I started it to pull it out of the trailer, I had it turned on, and you can. It might still turn on. So and then that click. So like when you start it, you hear those clicks. Once it's sat for a while, the fuel will fall back a little bit. Let
Okay.
it click till it stops clicking. So that means the fuel pump's filled up everything. It's got
Okay.
all the fuel it needs, and then. It doesn't want it 'cause it's warm. So that mixing, that's the extra, that's the enricher.
that?
Right here.
Yeah.
This is your light switch.
Okay.
So you have, so those should be like driving lights or parking lights, and then those are just, you can turn it all the way in headlights.
The headlights,
Headlights
okay.
on it, and it's floor dimmer switch.
Oh, cool.
So it's, you know, your
Yeah.
highs and lows are
It's
on the
awesome.
floor. And if you have any questions, just call me or text me or whatever. You won't bother.
Thank you so much.
Between your oil, this has an oil level light, which isn't super accurate, and we didn't mess with because we didn't want to drop the oil pan. So it switches between your oil level and your gas. The gas gauge and the oil gauge are.
Oh, okay. On like the same.
It uses the
Interesting.
same gauge. You just switch the button in it. Switches
Interesting.
between the
Okay.
sender and that's in the
Cool.
oil pan versus the sender that's in the gas tank. And yeah, you're a little above a quarter
Per
tank
tank?
right now.
Perfect.
And the light, there's a warning light in here too. That it
Okay.
does work and it is
Oh, cool.
inaccurate. So
Okay.
when you're like really low on gas, it does turn on. But tough part is too the key is right
fob,
there.
like
with
hangs right there, so you gotta like move it. And look
Yeah,
at it.
yeah. So that's the important one to watch, and then your water temperature, just make that, and it's in Celsius, so 100 degrees is, 212 boiling. So you're good as long as you're not just it's not pegged. The water temperature gauge isn't pegged, and oil pressure, as long as you got something there,
Okay.
you're good. That's one thing. Old car versus new car is just there's no
Alright.
like dingers and warning lights flashing at you all the time. You just gotta
Okay, so
Monitor
talk
a
me
little
through.
bit.
I've
What's
literally.
the other button?
this
No.
up
the
here.
One, no, down.
This
Yeah,
one.
that one,
That's
yeah.
your fan for your heater. So you can
Like turn
turn it on to turn your blower motor on to get some heat if you want. It's up under, right at your feet here at the tunnel.
So, like,
And then
what's-
this is a cigarette lighter. And then when you turn your lights on, your gauge lights don't come on. You have to. That's wipers, and then this one turns on your gauge lights.
Cool.
So you have to turn those on separately, because you'll turn it on and those will still be you'll still be dark. You can't see anything.
So like, what's the longest it should go without being driven?
I mean, if it sits for a month or so, it's not the end of the world.
Okay.
It should be fine.
But like a weekly driving
Yeah.
would be
Why-
good to
yeah.
keep it in.
Yeah,
Okay,
why
I've
not?
I've never driven it. Will you show me how you start the car?
Sure.
Well, and then these, don't you open just by hand, the coolant?
Yeah, if you want air conditioning. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like that. It's
Yeah, you can just pop them open by hand.
okay.
And they do catch a lot of air. They do help
Do
out
they?
a lot. So biggest thing, make sure it's out of gear.
Yep.
And just turn the key on,
Mhm.
listen for the clicks to stop, and it should be warm enough. Just
But if it wasn't, if I was doing it for the first time, I would toggle on.
make sure it's on. Yep.
Okay.
And then should just
I feel like put it right in, you lay it down, start it, then especially when it's cold and when that temperature's on it. Yeah, not too bad.
No, not a big deal.
and then just turn your key on. So there's not an extra cage on the gears that help them mesh
Okay.
to line up to shift easier. So first to second, you have to double clutch
Okay.
and match a little bit your revs a little bit, like your engine RPMs and stuff. So like to shift from, so you push your clutch in, you're in first, and you're driving, you want to shift to second, push your clutch in, put it into, pull it out of first, want to go together. Which it might have stopped for a second. We could make it around the block if you wanted to. You can have this out of the cover. Just plug that into the other unit and
Into
it'll
that,
keep-
like, okay.
keep it. I got.
This
I
thing?
got. Yeah, I got you a new one.
Oh.
That sets itself on its own and everything. You just plug it. You don't have to think about it.
Okay.
this is the oil.
Perfect.
And if you run out, most
Okay.
auto parts stores should have it too.
Perfect,
So
okay.
if you could just take that bottle in and say,
We need
I
more.
need this.
Awesome.
They'll give it to you, and then there's the manual.
Awesome. Beautiful.
This is the key fob that was on it, part of the security system on
Yeah,
it.
did
None of it worked anymore, and
Okay.
it was wired into like the horn and the fuel pump. So like
Okay.
it shut the fuel pump off.
Okay,
So,
so removed
none of
it?
that, yeah. So that's
Gone.
None of that's there,
Okay.
so you don't have to worry about that like misfunctioning or
Okay.
dealing with a weird sequence
this
of buttons
doesn't
and
do
stuff.
anything
So
anymore?
no, so it doesn't do anything anymore. But I didn't just pitch it because
Yeah.
just yeah. So
Okay,
there's that, and then this box is just extra parts
okay.
and different things just to keep. Like
Perfect.
this is the parts carburetor we bought for the bottom parts and stuff, and I don't know if your dad did that, but this was the cap that was on it. This, but so it's in there like this. It's, you know, the carburetor's sitting in there like this. There was a screw. This screw is missing out of
Oh.
it, so you couldn't adjust it.
Interesting.
So, and this cap was incorrect. It didn't give space for it to.
Gotcha,
Um,
to function.
yeah, so all that's the way it should,
Fixed,
should
it's
be.
good,
now.
alright.
Should be relatively should be good. Everything is. Oh, and we did change. That's right. We changed all your hubs because they were. This one especially was stripped. They have splines that go in through the center of the wheel to hold it, and then there's the center, and when we took everything apart and put it back together, that one was really tight when we took it apart, and I tightened it, you know, to not excessive, just tight. And when I pulled it out, you could hear the wheels and all
It's nice and compact.
Yeah. So there's
Did you go to school for this at all?
So I went to McPherson College.
Okay,
So I have a bachelor's degree in restoration management.
okay.
So some of that, working at a couple shops, doing some internships, and growing up with my dad doing it and stuff. So a mixture of it all. But yeah, just plug it in. It'll flash because it's not plugged into anything.
Do that when it's,
When it's not being
Just-
driven, like when you're done
Mhm.
driving it, you come in, you reconnect the battery.
Mm-hmm.
Easy peasy.
Yep. Can only
And
hook
just
it up.
leave it that way.
Yep, can only hook it up one way, and it'll be yellow while it's charging, and then it'll be green.
When it's
And
good.
yep, and it won't. It won't overcharge or anything. It'll just but just like that. That's pretty. It's nice and easy. Don't have
No,
to think
it's
about it.
better
Just,
than, this thing was like so old, I
Yeah,
don't
and
even
it-
know how old that was.
and you
so
just
is this where it plugged in here?
right
Oh.
here.
Okay, I see,
Yep.
yeah.
So just unplug it, hop in, and drive away. Instead of two batteries, it has one battery
Okay.
in it because it originally had two.
before.
So it's a 12-volt system, but it was two 6-volt batteries.
Okay,
And-
and now
and
it's just
now
one
it's just
12.
one 12-volt battery.
And what are your thoughts on that?
Covering all the cover is doing is just keeping dust off of it. So
Okay, and is that fine? Do you
That's-
recommend it, not recommend
Or
that?
just
Like,
the towels instead?
whatever you prefer. I mean, to me, it's easy. A lot of covers end up dirt comes through them anyway.
Yeah.
So for the winter, maybe you can
That's
cover
what
cover
I'm
it up,
picturing,
and
like,
then
yeah.
just if you're driving it in the summer and stuff, I just leave it off and
Okay,
just wipe it off with some. I'll leave those microfibers.
so
with you,
microfibers,
and you
perfect.
can just wipe off some dust and stuff and just go. Or you can leave the dust on it and just drive it. Just depends if you want to be seen in the
On
dirty
a dusty
car or
car,
not.
no. Oh, he would never, never.
And there's
That's
no.
like the license plates on it are not the current whatever, right?
Correct. Yeah, you
Like,
have.
we need to renew the plates.
Yeah. Did he have historical plates for it? Is that
Yes,
so?
he did.
Okay. So when you go in, they might ask you to bring that.
I'd like to
with
take
you.
that off and bring it, okay.
Yeah. Just tell them you want to run a vintage plate. So if you take this plate with you, they'll register this plate with it, and they'll
Okay.
tell you just to put those. You still have to buy historical plates. They just tell you keep them with the car. Just put it on something.
Okay.
Because that's a 1951. And so it was working at.
That's
Lawrence
incredible.
So I was in New York. It's in It's just outside of White Plains, and got to play with this quite a second.
So cool.
I was just helped, but still, just went through the checklist and
Yeah, but
detail
still,
and
like, what a
stuff.
cool
Oh,
experience. to
yeah,
do
not
something.
everybody gets to do that. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's awesome.
Where did you say that you went to school for your restoration?
McPherson College. It is in.
Is it like something they specialize in?
So it is a regular liberal arts college that just happens to have an automotive program. This collection, and they started a program, and it evolved into what it is today. But a long time was like an associate's degree program. Yeah, I mean, and tech schools are fine, and you can learn stuff there. But this is really oriented towards
Oh, I mean, such a specialization.
classic cars, and you get to learn everything, trim and upholstery and engine rebuilding and chassis. You don't become an expert. You're definitely not an expert when you graduate, but you have a good foot into it. You have how much do some painting, and
So
most
what's your
people
favorite,
decide they
working
don't
on
like
engine
to.
work?
So by trade or what you say, I've always grown up being a body man and painter and stuff. So
Okay.
that's what I'm super. I'm not super, but that's my most mostly
Specialty,
what I
most
do.
gifted.
Yeah. I just took this off. Trade me? Is yours struggling?
No, it's fine on. You want to try this one?
So do a lot of paint and body work and stuff like that.
Want to try this one?
I got it.
Okay.
And then just a little bit of mechanical stuff here and there. And, like projects like this are fun to do something to get it back on the road and go through stuff and talk to people and give them bring people joy and stuff like that.
That stuff to do with our stuff.
My old boots, I had to get new boots. I wore them out, but these are a little bit narrower. My old boots were too wide. I had to take my shoes off because the pedals are so close. If it seems like the seat's not attached, that's why.
Because it's not.
It's way easier to remember after I do it myself than just listening to somebody tell me how to do it.
So, Mom, how old was Dad when he bought the car? Like young?
He was born in 42. This is a 52, and I thought he bought it around like 1957,
Okay.
I think.
I mean, we literally found the bill of sale. Like I've seen the
Really?
bill of sale for it when he bought it.
That's awesome.
Yes. And then drove it, I think, in a very unfinished state for a long time.
Sure.
It
Yeah.
used to be blue.
Wow.
That was the original color of it.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, yeah, when he had it. Because we have a toy one that's about this long, this wide. Where is that?
I'm not sure.
It must be back in the front. Maybe they have it.
I mean, you fit in there just perfect, Mom.
Yes.
So I would put the clutch in
Put the clutch in, and I would just make sure it's
in neutral.
in neutral like that, because when it's in gear, you push the clutch.
Oh, you can't do it.
It's
I couldn't put the clutch in.
with your left foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're in. You see when it's in gear, it doesn't wiggle like that, but that's how you know.
Yeah.
When you have a lot more play, it's in neutral.
So now I've got the clutch in.
Yep. As long as it's in neutral, you don't have to press the clutch
And this
anymore.
is on or off.
That's off. You should never really have to use it.
So I'm just gonna push or turn
So
this.
turn your key, one foot, and then push your